Hi there, everybody, and welcome to Roll with Advantage. I didn't tell you guys, but I started rolling the... that's why I did a weird vamp there, because I didn't want anybody to jump in, because I would have felt bad if I cut them off. So hi, welcome to Roll with Advantage. We're here for the adventures of the Salamander Coast and the beginning of a new book. Book 9. We're really getting up there. We're almost on double digits in books, which is crazy. So let's go ahead and roll the intro and dive in. And we're back. So with that, we will go ahead and dive in. As is tradition here on Roll with Advantage, I am not in charge of doing the summary. Instead, the lovely people on this other portion of the screen over here are. So this week on summary is...
It's me again.
It's Gemma
Hello.
again. With that, Gemma, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Oh, I'll say I was like reading over my summary, and I got no idea what half of it says, so we're gonna see how this works.
Okay.
She doesn't know how to type, apparently. But anyways, yes. So last session, we were in the continuation of the siege on Damara's Keep. Great. The party facing an overgrown undead dragon, its mind having been warped and controlled by Ivana, alongside a couple supporting warlords. The party keep them at bay, allowing mages behind us to burst down the doors. The fight proves brutal, Suni falling to one of the warlords, although he was thankfully being able to be revived once the fighting had concluded. Elsewhere, away from the party, the gates have been destroyed, allowing for greater entrance to the keep, Hrothgar and Lapia converging with the party to lay out some suggested plans for continuing. The soldiers remaining can clear a path to Ivana, allowing the party some time to recover, and then all they will need to do is face Ivana herself. A speech is given from Hrothgar to the remaining troops, giving the strength for one final push, in spite of all those that have already been lost, a number which includes many of the leaders for the various fighting factions. And fight on they do, and the party comes face to face with Ivana. She taunts each of them one by one, and has several of the zombified leaders in front of the party before her, in between, forcing the party to quite literally face the devastation that the siege has wrought, and their allies and individuals that have been lost during it. The combat is grueling, and the party is fighting exhausted and near the brink of death for most of it. Ivana is able to separate most of the party through the use of a wall of ice, and the floor itself begins to fall away into a vast cavern below, and Ivana is happy to take the opportunity to try and cast party members into the depths below. Then, amidst it all, Ivana reaches towards Ajax with a finger of death, killing him and promising that he will rise as an undead in service to her, much like the fallen allies at the beginning of the fight. Bianca is able to save his soul within her Valkyrie lantern, however, before forcing his body into the chasms below. She then takes the spear from the now fallen Ajax and strikes into Ivana, finally ending her. And a massive shock of white radiance ruptures out from it, blasting through the chamber and knocking back what remains of the party with their fates yet to be known. Wah wah wah.
Wah wah wah, indeed. Thank you so much. So with that, we will go ahead and transition to... Damara's Keep. So, go ahead. Here we go. The war-torn fields around Damara's Keep are eerily quiet. It is a contrast to the recent cacophony of battle. Fresh snow has concealed most of the scars of war. However, as we pan away from the recently collapsed keep, the devastation is apparent. Once lofty towers now collapsed in heaps of rubble with walls that have been reduced to a mere outline. The foreboding cloud that hovered over the entirety of Damaris City begins to dissipate. Almost 24 hours of fighting later, as the clouds move, it begins to reveal the gentle glow of dawn. The first light of day paints the ravaged landscape in soft pinks and golds. The many scattered banners and remnants of war momentarily reflecting this peaceful glow. Soldiers move diligently through the wreckage, salvaging what they can, searching for their comrades. Each discovery, whether living or dead, is met with reverence. They find the bodies of Alika, of Typho, of King Borelli, and many others, serving to these soldiers that find them a reminder of the cost of this victory. Among the searchers, there are whispers that begin to spread. The bodies of the wanderers and Illithor Damaris cannot be found. For many of these soldiers, it causes the air to be thick with both worry and relief. If the corpses haven't been found, then perhaps they still live. But with each passing moment, doubt begins to creep in. Is that it? Are they dead? Did they truly give up everything to make sure Ivana was slain? As we move out of the city, a wide angle is seen of a collapsed wall, smoking ruins, being enraptured by the dawning sky. Most, if not all of the soldiers currently exist within inside the city, searching for materials, searching for allies, searching for the fallen. But one weak, limping figure emerges from the walls, headed for a hill in the distance. You see Illithor Damaris, wounded beyond repair. No amount of medicine or magic could fix him. A man who is currently on his last moments. Conviction and adrenaline keeping him going. He's battered, he's bleeding, and he struggles towards this hill. In his hands, he clutches the banner of House Damaris, a golden bird soaring towards the sun on a royal blue backdrop. Despite his wounds, he manages to climb up this hill and plant the banner into the ground. Waves defiantly amongst the corpses and destruction. Illithor looks up to the horizon, and he beholds this beautiful dawn breaking over his home. His face is etched with pain and loss, but eventually it softens into one of peace and satisfaction. With his final strength spent, you see him collapse next to the banner, his eyes fixed on that golden bird as it catches the rays of the sun. As the world around him starts to blur and his senses begins to fade, the rising sun illuminates his face. In his final moment, he knows that his home will be reborn, greater than ever. The search continues. Weeks, the search continues. Eventually, Illithor's body is found outside the city, but the Wanderers still are not. Eventually, many soldiers begin to leave the city to guide these supplies back to Maester and Fort Ivar. The wounded have to be taken care of somewhere where they can rest in peace. As the cold begins to break, and ever so slowly, summer winds begin to creep in, the sun, just days ago, which was cold and distant and rarely ever showed its face, now beats down on Damara City, unyielding, melting away the snow and flooding the rivers around the city. As I said, weeks pass. There's a small group of soldiers that are left within the city to watch over. Some 500. They search. They tear away at rubble. And eventually, one of the wanderers is found. Suni, lying buried beneath the rubble, you currently rest in a cage of vines and molded mud. You can feel unconsciousness grip you. Flashes, memories, life, your life, the present, you're not sure. These images, they swirl. They're blurry at first, almost looking like a mist. Eventually, everything stops. You see yourself standing in a dense forest. You can feel leaves rustle, and this profound connection to the world around you. You hear a familiar laugh. One that you had only heard for a very short time in your time in Summer's Rest. But the laughs of Belvedere, as they echo against the trees in the forest. You see the bugbear clumsily mixing together a concoction, nearly causing an explosion. Soon you recall the first time you ever saw Belvedere. You remember that you were the only person that extended him a hand. This criminal, this monster, what most people saw, you offered him redemption. As you blur back into reality for a moment, you see the flashes of soldiers' faces, those of the ones of the siege, carried away on a cot. You reach up for one of them, and as you try to reach for them, your hand finds no purchase. In these brief moments, you realize that there is this shooting pain in your forearm. And as you go to reach to grab at it, your hand finds nothing. There is no hand there. There is no forearm. There is no arm. As Suni, in the rubble, as it came crashing down on top of you, Elowen tried her best to shield you from it, but was not fast enough. As your arm, the same one that the scales were taken from, was crushed. And you were on the verge of bleeding out, but through Elowen's grace, you survived. As you flash back into this ethereal realm of unconsciousness, you're sitting at a campfire. You poke at the flames. You feel this warm presence near you. As you look, you can see sitting Right beside you is Keothi. She laughs. You hear her say, "Come on, Suni. Wake up. Please." As you hear that, you look into her eyes, and the vision shatters for a moment. The forest breaks away, the campfire extinguishes. You're lying in a bed. In Maester. She sits beside you, tending to your wounds, replacing your bandages. And as your eyes slowly blink open, you can see this big smile stretch across her face. "Suni, you're awake." And you can see she goes to hug you, and as she does, she hugs you a bit too hard, and there's a bit of pain you experience as she's squeezing you very tightly, and you can feel your entire form is sore. So as she hugs you, do you go to say anything or react at all, or are you just kind of out of it?
Well, he would try to, like, bury himself in the hug, but then I think he would, with the pain and then the realization that he's not holding her with two arms, he would, like, kind of retreat a little bit and go to, like, touch where his arm would be, but then just up to, like, his shoulder, and would just say, "So that was real."
She nods.
Where's everybody else? Where's Bianca? What happened?
As you look around, Suni, they're nowhere to be found. In this room that all of you once shared, you can see Keothi looks at you with a nervous grimace. "They haven't been found yet?"
No.
It's
How long has it been?
it's been about 2.5 weeks.
And he just kind of will slump into himself.
More people are found every day. I'm sure they'll all be found.
I gotta. He's gonna, like, try to start climbing.
No. You cannot.
I need to find them.
And Suni, as you go to stand up, you can feel your legs just bend and collapse in as you tumble onto the ground. As she says, "No," and she grabs you and kind of picks you up and sets you back on the bed.
Okay, maybe I can't help.
You can. You need a few more days of rest, and then you can go out there, okay? Just try and rest, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that we can both go, and we can both help, all right?
He'll kind of scrunch his lack of eyebrows, and look at her after a second and say, "One day, I am going to be okay in one day, and then we can go look." Okay?
Okay.
And then he's gonna pout.
Okay. So, Suni, in that time, is there anything specifically you would want Keothi to bring for you, or anything you'd like to work on in the 3 or 4 days that it's going to take you to get to a stronger state?
Just a pad of paper and a quill.
Okay. Yeah. She brings that to you. Lots of it. Lots of ink.
And he's gonna start just kind of sketching something.
Okay. Sounds good. Suni, as you sketch, you try and rebuild your strength so you can go back out on the hunt as soon as possible. Cecily. There is what feels like a storm brewing. All you remember was the crash. Bianca slamming the spear into Ivana. And then you felt a rumble like thunder. And the ground underneath you falling. As you fade from reality, you find yourself on a mountaintop. There are fierce winds threatening to pull you away. Lightning crashes and illuminates a figure. Odin, his face twisted with manipulative intent. He's shouting something, but the wind is stealing his words. As he gets closer, he attempts to grab. As you take a step back, you feel an embrace. You feel your father. You feel Tyr. That safety, that protection. Another shift, once more in the presence of Odin. This man who would end your life for his own ambition, for his own goals. As you thrash, you try to move away, that warming presence isn't there. There's this bright ray of sunlight that breaks through the storm sky. As you can hear thunder rumbling, a storm a distance away. You think, at least. You hear voices far away. The rocky cliff you were sitting on is no more. It's softer. Darkness for a while. And then eventually you feel this tender touch on your forehead. Brings you warmth. As your eyes lazily begin to open, you can see, sitting on the bedside next to you, is Tyr, your father. You see his hands glowing with a healing energy. You can see he chases away the storm. He looks to you and says, "Well, there we go. It looks like you're finally awake."
How long has it been?
It took about 3 weeks to find you.
Oh. She'll just kind of rub at her eyes for a second. That's a while. How did I make it out of this one?
I do not know. I know you are a survivor. You have proven that much. And In that moment, Cecily, as he says that, there is a moment. You remember when that storm first arrived, that rumbling, the stone falling beneath your feet. You remember a gust of wind. A gust of wind that was soft and caring. As you think to it, in the moment, it didn't mean much. But now that you think, there were words you swear you heard with that gust of wind. A gust of wind that carried you to a safe alcove that wouldn't be crushed. A voice on the wind. Please stay safe. Please. And looks like Poe did hear you. And in a very Poe nature, he showed up just when he needed to.
That's fucking beautiful. She will kind of register that, and she'll feel at the bracelet. Is the bracelet fine? Did it get damaged in the fight?
The bracelet's fine. The bracelet is fine.
Is all my sentimental jewelry safe?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Valuable question.
Yeah. But she'll feel at it, and she'll just mumble to herself, "Thank you." And she'll kind of slowly shift up in the bed, coming to a sort of full sit if she's able to. Well, 3 weeks. I guess everybody else is probably wondering about me, right? So.
At that moment, Cecily, Suni, you had been down in the city in Maester helping people with various needs, something that they needed, trying your best to be there for people. You receive word that Cecily is awake. You drop everything in that moment to run to the keep. And at that moment that she brings that up, Suni, you burst through the door. And Cecily, there you see Suni standing before you, a little malnourished, but healthy, but missing an arm. And you can see, as you bring up the sentiment of everyone else, Tyr looks to Suni and then looks back to you with a great look of sorrow as he says, "The others have not been found. It is just you and Suni." As Suni, you're there now.
I imagine as soon he busts in, he's like, as you said, very malnourished and just ran, like, sprinted as fast as he could. And so every other word is like a gasp in as he's just so out of breath. He's like, "Cecily, I heard that you... Oh, fuck.
Whoa, okay. Here, let me
shit.
just... Oh, God, I'm so hungry too. And she's just gonna reach out, just like all just paper bags, skin and bone, probably at this rate, and just wrap around him as much as she can, practically falling off of the bed.
Watch the... Oh.
Yeah, watch my everything too, dude.
Yeah.
And she'll look back to Tyr. I mean, we can't be it, right? I mean, I'm a cockroach, okay? I can make it 3 weeks, but how much longer can they be out there?
And you can see Tyr, he searches for the right words, but he decides to be honest. A few more days at most. If the Loshari are correct in their books of medicine, considering the trauma that all of you have endured physically, being without food and water, your bodies, by the time we found yours, and Suni's, had already begun to shut down. If we don't find them in the next couple of days, then they will be gone. But we will find them. Most of the keep has been cleared out. Almost all of the dead are accounted for, aside from a few hundred missing soldiers and your 3 companions.
Zuni, what the fuck happened back there? You were falling into a rift in the ground, and then
Your guess is as good as mine. Saw Bianca, I don't know, crash into Ivana, and then it was falling for so long, and that's it.
and Ajax. I mean, after the ice wall came down, everything happened so fast. I don't know that I even saw him.
He will kind of avoid eye contact, and will say very sheepishly, Ajax died.
She'll just kind of immediately look up the Tyr. Where should I start looking?
Cecily, you need rest.
Bullshit. Where should I start looking?
Cecily, if you go out there now, if you push yourself, when we do find your friends, you won't be there to greet them.
They made me wait, you have to as well. It's only fair.
With good reason, Suni.
Whatever.
Do you judge the medicinal choices of Keothi? If you'd like, I can bring her in here for you to disagree, if that's something you'd wish.
You know I would never disagree with Keothi.
They will be found, Cecily. And I will be there searching, and Keothi will be there searching as well. And Suni, as much as I know you wish to be there, I think it's best if you stay here with her. I know my daughter can be a bit of a troublemaker. Perhaps leaving.
What am I supposed to do for 2 days? Just play dice?
Rest. Recover. Eat something. And in time, you will feel much better. You can see with that, he will sort of grab your hand and squeeze it, and will kiss the top of your head as you sit in the bed and say, I will be back, and when I return, Carasilla and Bianca both will be with me.
Do I not get a kiss on the head?
Would you like one?
Yeah.
All right.
Suni, she won't stop it. She doesn't have the energy.
Yeah. He'll give you a hug, Suni, and he'll kiss you on the scaly head.
Thank you.
You're welcome. He'll kind of pat you on the back and head out the room.
Your dad's really cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Way cooler than your last dad.
He doesn't count.
Fair enough.
I love that laugh from Suni.
Way cooler than your last dad. I hope that's exactly how he said it canonically. That's amazing.
So,
you remember that Odin guy?
Suni and Cecily, the two of you keep each other company in Maester. You wait, hoping that Tyr and Keothi will return with your two friends. Carasilla. You feel in your mind you are enraptured with melodies of a bygone age. In a flash, you're on stage, singing tales of heroes to a crowd that loves nothing more than your songs and the stories you tell them. You see the joy and happiness they feel. There's light that blurs in your face, obscuring the crowd, but eventually it returns. Except no longer a crowd, you sit in a white tent. A table with different pieces, symbolizing different troops in front of it. You see your sister Morwen in front of you, talking battle strategy of the next excursion of you and your soldiers. You share a laugh. You share camaraderie. You see the soldiers you serve with, and it all feels so real. And as you and your soldiers charge into battle, Morwen is at your side. Light blinds you again. You are very high, perched on a ledge. Not entirely crushed, but a piece of rubble does lay on top of you, preventing you from moving. You hear voices, not that of the soldiers of Bella Clara, but much more throaty and guttural. As your consciousness bleeds in for just a moment, you see 3 Kuatoa climbing up rocky crevices. They see you, they exclaim. Eventually, the 3 of them arrive on the plateau you currently rest on. As your consciousness is just in this moment present, you see the boulder. They try and move it, but it doesn't budge. You see they all stop for a moment. They take hands. They begin to murmur about the creator, about the light, about Nabir Tarman. And you can see the boulder shift and move as it crashes against the rest of the rubble. They grab you as your consciousness fades again. As you begin to wake, the Kuatoa are there to your left, but you begin to smell incense in the air. And as you look to your left, tending to your wounds, and sitting by your side is Hrothgar Almer. You can see his gold scales shimmering in the dim light. He says, that's Kayla. It's calling me right now. 1 second.
Okay, but if Alton doesn't show up at your bedside, I will riot.
Dude.
Just
Well.
saying. I gotta put it in here so Joe can see it.
Oh, no. Babies pull through though.
I mean,
They
yeah!
manifest in everything.
How'd we do that with the wiggles
Manifest.
manifesting?
This
Ah.
is manifest, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm doing it. You just can't see.
yeah, we're manifesting.
dead.
I
Wait, you
love
died.
it.
Oh,
You're dead.
See, this is why you have children. They pull rocks
Yeah.
off you.
yep.
That's the only
Yep,
reason.
One day Bella will.
The purpose of
Yeah, one day
children.
Bella will roll the rock right off you. So.
Dude. One day my childless ass is gonna get rocked, and there will be no one to help me.
Mm-hmm.
Now Bella
Gotta
will be
get a
there too.
child mark.
Yeah,
Bella will
rock.
roll the rocks off all of us.
that poor childless wizard, dead by rock.
Pissed off the DM. Now dead by rock.
Dead by rock. That's very funny.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
good
That
band
car
name.
was very close.
Yeah,
Driving by a room.
I live right by like a pretty busy, pretty enough.
That would make sense. Better than
Dox
being in like a
yourself.
quiet neighborhood. Dox yourself? Is that what you said?
Oh,
Just like-
speaking of doxing, did I tell
Oh,
you,
shit.
Cameron, that I got a new place?
Oh, you did not.
What's
yeah,
the
it all worked
address?
out. Yeah, I'll send it to you so you can,
Oh,
you agreed to get me a Dr. Pepper while you were out, so I'll send you my new address. And you should be able to swing by. Yeah, I think it's only like a 4-hour drive
Yeah, something like
there, and then
Yep.
4 back.
it's easy.
Yeah.
Hey, I used to do DoorDash. I lived that life.
If you came all the way to my apartment in uptown Chicago to bring me a Dr. Pepper, solely to bring me a Dr. Pepper and then left, I might give you $100.
It would be
Might?
a bit. But $100.
I mean, I feel that was worth it.
Yeah,
That's at least the gas money, you
at
know.
least the gas money and the cost of the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
I think it's like double gas money. So, you know.
No.
Depends on the car.
Like,
Yeah, I guess.
So I might be okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the very least, I'm giving you a pro bono tank of gas
Yeah.
for your trouble.
And you also got a free road trip out of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All road trips are kind of free, you know?
Okay,
You just don't
All
get
right.
to stay. That's part of the stipulation.
here we go.
Oh.
Gotta
So,
be for the express
Carosilla,
purpose.
as you awake, you can see Hrothgar sitting next to you. As he says, no phone call this time, as he says, well, light be blessed. Look at that. Look who's finally awake.
The hell's happened?
You tell me I wasn't in the room. I have reports of a light about as bright as the flame that burns in the beer Tarman. The explosion, the collapse. And then for about the past 3 weeks, we've been trying to fish your bodies out of the keep.
And so then, everyone else?
We found Suni and Cecily. Kyo's and Tyr have been taking care of them. You were sent back to Maester, but Kyo and Tyr, they're still looking for Bianca. I know that you're optimistic, and I try to be as well, but from what we know, if we don't find her in the next day, 12 to 24 hours, You all are tenacious, I'll give you that much. But I don't think anyone can survive that long without.
So there was a light equal to that of, what, the flame, right? Has to mean something.
I suppose so.
Do we know what it was?
I mean, the reports we have from Suni, since he was able to see, he says that, and at that point, Suni and Cecily, the two of you, are able to wrap around the doorway and see Carasilla currently in conversation with Hrothgar. As Hrothgar turns to look and says, well, Suni, you were the one that said you saw what happened before the explosion. You want to shed some light on it to Carasilla?
Well, this wasn't exactly what I first wanted to say to you after you woke up, but Ivana killed Ajax. And was going to turn him, but Bianca pushed his body into that chasm before taking his spear and striking her down. And that's all I saw.
The light. I mean, Ajax's spear does a lot of things, but light, like I'm hearing, is not one of them. Has to mean something. We just gotta figure out what.
Or listen, you all know I don't do gods and stuff. Are you saying there's some chance that something showed up right at the end to help him? Or preserve him? Or something like Elwyn did for Suni?
I don't know, but we're here, right? Something happened, we know that. We just need to figure out what it was. Maybe whatever it is, at least means that Bianca could be safe. At least still alive.
Hey Joe, did Suni see Bianca get Ajax's soul into the lantern?
Yeah, I would say that it was in kind of one fluid motion that everything happened, but yeah, you would have seen that.
Okay. That's a pretty big distinction that I hadn't said to either of Cecily or Carasilla, so he
Yeah.
would have said that if that's something that he did see. Just throwing that out there.
So then in the clearing of all the rubble, has anyone found a lantern?
Not yet, no. We haven't even found, we haven't found any sign of Bianca or Ajax's weapons.
Well, as long as people know to look for it. I mean, it's a nice lantern, but a lantern isn't a body, but it's just as important right now.
No.
I'll send word.
Break the news to you, Carasilla. we both got told this, and now you need to get told. You're not allowed to go help search for a few days. You're supposed to sit here and sleep and eat food and worry about everybody while you are completely still in a bed. Just figured I'd get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh. I admit, as much as I'd love to be able to help myself, I'm not sure I'd be able to do much. Sure, we'll look over the Kuatoa.
Hi.
Oh my god, they're still here.
Yeah,
Glad you made it, guys. Jeez.
Just been there the
Well, I
entire
would be
time.
here if they weren't.
she didn't notice the whole time.
I mean, if you all found me, you can find others, right? Bianca, you know her, yes? The lantern that she carries.
Yeah.
The language of the gods.
Oh, indeed. So, at least they can help with the efforts, right?
They could.
They can try.
Well,
At least.
yes, we can send them there, but as I said, Carasilla, I mean, we believe Bianca has maybe a day left. It's a 3-day march, 2-day ride there. I mean, listen, I know last time you saw the Old Kingdom, it was covered in ice and snow, but that's not the case anymore. And Carasilla, as you look outside for the first time since you've been awake, and Suni and Cecily, this is something you've been very familiar with. It is hot outside. Incredibly hot. And, I mean, it is the beginning of summer right now. And even within the city of Maester, many people are instructed to stay back from the river that cuts through Maester because it's flooding. And Hrothgar says, much of the land between here and Damaris Keep, they're flooded. And so traveling back is well, it's quite the endeavor. So we'll send them. We'll send them to help. And I hope that.
I mean, hey, if it's flooded, you might as well send the fish, right? Is that? Should I not call them that? I don't know if that's.
You can see the one that is the high Kuatoa priestess just turns and look to you as you say fish.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes that are like normally like in two different directions, they both like come together on you.
Just call him a slur.
Okay. No, I understand now. It'd be like calling me an ape. Yeah, it's not quite it, you know. You might as well send the Kuatoa.
They
who
nod.
are probably better at water stuff.
Certainly true.
Yeah, we will send them.
Whatever
You shouldn't
direction
give up on them, though.
Whatever direction all this kingdom stuff goes in, please never make me give a speech. I am gonna say so many things wrong.
I think I have a Triton in one of the ranks that can go with them, guide them there.
Good.
Well, when we find Bianca and she is up and ready to go, I received word from some companions of yours down south in Tarkir and Iverion. But I can share that one. Nothing pressing. I'll share that when all of you are awake, though.
Right.
And he will nod and with that head out of the room. And with that, Carousel, is there anything specifically you wanted to do in this moment, or are you just trying to recover?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like after getting recapped and everything and kind of being like, okay, now we just have to wait. I think then she'd just reach out to both Suni and Cecily, assuming they're really close by. I just want to give both of them a hug and just hold them.
Cecily is very brittle. You must
I think
hug
we're all a
gently.
little brittle. We're all very brittle here, but that's okay. We have a brittle hug.
Yes.
That is all.
Yeah.
Delicate hug.
Trying not to break each other.
Well, do you want me to help distract you? I wouldn't mind playing with somebody else. Suni beat me in craps 9 times.
I'm pretty damn good.
Smarter than he looks.
Well, fortunately for you, I'm not great, so I wouldn't mind.
That's what I want to hear.
All right. So with that, we cut away from the city of Maester. Bianca, the last thing you remember is picking up the spear, sacrificing a portion of yourself to hopefully destroy Ivana once and for all. Sever her connection to the Dark One and end it. That is exactly what you did. That radiant explosion emanated from that point. As you fell through her, the keep collapsed around you. You saw as her body dissolved into nothing, unraveling, burning away like yarn set on fire. As you descend down this treacherous, cavernous fall, pieces of rubble falling near you and around you, spear in your hand, you clutch it. And whether it be through randomness, divine intervention, or the lantern tied safely to your belt and the soul within it, you hear the clinging of a shield behind you as you grip onto it tightly, as it blocks many large pieces of rubble that crash into you. Even in death, Ajax still doing everything he can to protect you. Eventually, darkness. You hear this frigid wind howl, this echoing of emptiness and sorrow within. You find yourself once more in the city of Paradin. The shouts of battle, the clanging of swords. It's deafening. You see two individuals primarily. You see Ajax doing his best to fight the demons, fiends, and undead that swarm him. But then you see a distance away from him your mom. Fierce and protective, doing everything she can, fighting for yours and your father's home. But then, in this heartbreaking instant, you see her fall. Your tears freeze on your face, and the world is still and silent. Death. Permanent. In that moment, you're reminded of the choice that was made. choice that ended with your mother not returning to the land of the living. The silence is broken by the cawing of a murder of crows. You hear them all around you. You hear shouting, loud rumbling. There's only one thing you remember from that moment, is in the same moment when you looked upon your mother, as the cacophony of caws are unleashed, as your eyes open very briefly to see the sun. You see Ildan. You see your father standing over you. You don't know what he says. You remember only the look of fear, of sorrow, of happiness, of relief. All of these emotions flood his face as he says so much, but you hear so little. As you fade away again, coldness envelops you. As you're carried away, eventually you awake. Warmth returning to you. Ildan sitting by your side once more. The cold recedes. Fully aware of his presence, he squeezes onto your hand with a loving look of relief and happiness as your eyes slowly begin to open. So, you're awake.
But am I alive?
You are. You are. And you see he sort of lightly touches your face, and you feel around your jawline this sting as Ildan is able to see, and anyone else who enters the room is able to see this vitiligo-like pattern on Bianca around her jaw and cheek, her neck going down to her shoulder, and on part of her arm that has this radiant-like fading glow, this slow growing of light and dimming, providing a very dim glow around her, but this radiance emanating from her.
That kind of stings.
Sorry.
It's okay. Don't. And she'll like reach for his hand. The lantern. Where's the lantern?
It's right there. And you look right to the nightstand next to you, next to several empty vials of medicine that had been administered to you to keep you resting and sated. You can see that your lantern sits there with the same familiar dull blue glow. There's a soul in there.
Is everyone else all right?
They are. And he sort of looks to the spear and shield that are propped up to the bed next to you. All except Ajax, but...
I know. He's there. And the reason why I'm here. I couldn't have done it without him. I couldn't have survived without him.
He nods.
I couldn't let him go.
It's okay. It'll be okay. And at that point, Bianca, you see a horde of people enter the room. Firstly, you see Suni, Cecily, and Carasilla. All of them on their feet now. Suni, Cecily, and Carasilla, you had begun to grapple with the fact that you would never see Bianca again. Hrothgar told you a day, maybe. It took another week of searching to find her, but somehow she still lived. 5 weeks, almost. All of you have been separated. But as I said, you see Suni, you see Cecily, you see Carasilla. Following behind them, you see Alton, very close behind Carasilla. You see Keothi. You see Hrothgar. All of these people enter. And for a moment, just being as shaken and as in and out of realities you are, you wish Ajax would be the next person to walk through that door, but you know that's not going to happen. But Suni, Cecily, Carasilla, as all of you enter, the rest of the individuals will respect your right to greet her first.
Yeah, I mean, Carousel kind of, I feel like we're all kind of like running in, but she'll kind of stop like right before the bed. Oh, you beautiful bastard. I'd hug you, but I don't want to hurt you.
You can hug me. Just please. I need it, please.
And she'll very gently go over. And squeeze only as tight as Bianca is able to manage herself.
Yeah, and kind of like everyone else, it's like it stings, but it also feels so good to like hold everyone again.
You're glowing.
Okay? I am?
Oh. A little bit. It's good, I think.
Skin
maybe.
kind of stings.
It looks really badass.
That also.
Well, I wonder if it'll heal. It doesn't matter. You guys are okay. And you
You're
actually
okay
look
too.
pretty soon in your arm.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say about that yet.
Okay. We have Ajax. As she tries to, as she's like kind of laying down, like trying to get up, like is gonna like reach for the lantern. I don't know if we could do anything about it right now, but we have it.
What do we do with it?
Well, most clerics and healers don't have access to true resurrection, but that's the only way you can recall a soul that doesn't have a body. I'm sure we could think of some mage that is strong enough. My mind is not clear right now, but it's possible.
Let's let that pass. We'll just.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, so they're fixing the wreckage out there. It's important work. We'll just have to go back to the dwarves, won't we?
I don't
Sure
know
they
if the
can do
dwarves
something.
had the same kind of. I don't know if they can resurrect souls into bodies like they can forge them into weapons.
I mean, like you've already said, we have his soul. He is still with us in a way. Maybe not all of him, but part that really matters. We've brought souls back from lanterns before. In different circumstances, yes, but we'll figure something out. And before that happens, we'll still have him here.
I could reach out to Emerald.
See if Hrothgar pipes up.
I don't know many clerics that can handle that, but maybe it's not a cleric you need, it's a sorcerer.
I thought Emerald. Has he returned?
Yes, I received word from Eurydice, one of the Forerunners of Fate. Them and I, we got to know each other a bit when I was down in Iverion, dealing with Draven. Emeril has been returned from that prison in the Astral Sea, but they also believe that Mezenkelnos escaped with them. Cassius Finch has not been killed, but is no longer a threat. But most importantly, well, I think that I have a pretty important question for them. It's back when the College of Hearthcrest did their thing, and they sent Bolorolos here. One of their caveats was that should anyone find Emeril, especially the party, that he should be reported to and sent for questioning to the College of Hearthcrest due to this copy of him, this other version of him. It's wreaking havoc. They did not do that. Don't have an exact reasoning why, but if I reached out to Emeril and he comes here and Bolorolos finds out, then reckon that the College of Hearthcrest is going to be on your bad side and on their bad side. And don't really know if that's a great idea.
What if we went to him?
If you went to Emerald, I mean, yeah, if you can find a way to get to the slippery bastard, yeah, sure. But it's always on the move, so perhaps you can find somewhere to meet him or something, but I'm sure something can be arranged.
Well, if he knows, hopefully he could stay still at least for the time it would take, right?
I'm sure.
So then we reach out.
We should at least reach out. I don't want him to have to choose between helping us and turning himself in at the same time or not, so I guess we should plan to try and meet him somewhere that's safe. We're asking a lot of him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wants to check in on Cecily as well.
Sure about that. So, yeah. I will reach out, let him know that all of you are safe and that, considering everything with the college, that he would like to, all of you would like to respect his, preference for anonymity in this moment, I'm sure. All right, well, I'll get on that. Let the rest of you, reconvene. And with that, he'll nod and exit the room.
How has it been? How is everything?
It's hot.
It's
Have you looked
hot.
outside yet?
Looks out window.
Yeah. As you look out the window, the sounds of the city come in to vision. you can see the city in all of its life and in all of its color. A city no longer covered in snow, but a city where the sun glows down on it. Warm. Fresh. By the point you wake up, Cecily, or not Cecily, wow. By the time you wake up, Bianca, sorry, I was looking at something else. And all of you are finally in a better state. And by the time that, well, right now in this moment, it is the 21st of Summer Court. So it has been about 5 weeks, almost coming on 6. So all of you have been out of commission for a while. That means that it is the 21st of Summer Court. In 2 days is when the sky shatters in Isles. So the tourney of the Green Lady started yesterday for you guys.
Okay.
Just
Got a
not
lot to
think
look
about that
forward
right
to
now.
there.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice seeing this place restored, but I have spent this entire adventure gaining new layers,
Well,
and now it's hot as balls.
good thing about layers is you can just take them off.
Choose which ones mean the most to you. What are the most Cecily layers you have?
That's a good question. Just lifting like 5 petticoats.
Do things seem hopeful? I know maybe things seemed bleak, but how are the people, Carasilla?
They're alive, for one. They're warm. They don't have to worry about fiends coming through and trampling what little they have left. They have a future. I think things are as good as they've been in a very long time.
Good. I'm so tired. I'm sure you all are too. I think it'll be
we've
nice.
all had...
Yeah.
Go on.
I think it would be nice to rest beyond just what we need. Obviously still, you know, working and fixing what we need to, but resting. The Dark One stuff, you know, can take a little bit of a break.
I'm sure he'll find us again when he gets bored. You know,
Obsessed with us. Ugh.
there was this bread seller here in town that I bought a shitload of bread from right before we got on the boat, and I kind of want to see them again. Do you all want some bread? Is
I
it
would
bread
love
time?
some bread.
Better believe it.
Might be
Suni,
best to bring it back here, though.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm getting out of this bed.
No, you actually.
Today.
Oh, I forgot the thing I have to tell everyone. You're not allowed to move for a few days.
Well, Cecily, that is a bit of a gross overstatement from what you were told initially, as I understand it. We didn't want them to march 2.5 days to the ruins of a particularly dangerous city to begin to fish through rubble to try and help find you.
Okay, you know what? She has to do it too. How about that? Everyone has to do
Yes,
it.
if you would have let me talk as your primary caregiver to all of you, you need rest. But see, Bianca and Carasilla know their limits. They know they need to rest. They know they need to take a second and breathe. Not everyone can be as young and ornery
Say it.
as the two of you.
Like thousands of years old, young lady.
Suni,
Yes.
Bianca just woke up from a coma. Be nicer to her. And me. The only reason that...
Yes, I mean,
Um,
Kyothi has been taking care of everyone for a very long time right now. I think
Yes.
she's owed a break.
Thank
and to
you.
Just listen to her for once.
All right. Didn't mean to be so onary. What did you say?
I love this. I love this so much. Sorry,
You
I'm
are very
relishing. Go
lucky.
on.
You are very lucky that Bianca is so happy right now because it makes me happier. All right? I am this close, Cecily, to snapping. So please be very careful with what you say to me right now. So, like, eye
Cecily-
twitches, hair's out of place.
Oh my god,
Cecily's
girly!
gonna just reach up to Kyothi and just hold her hand in both. Just okay. It's okay.
Thank you. Sashimi melt smiles. Great.
Do you want bread?
No, since all of you are awake, I really want to sleep.
No, that's totally fine. All right, Suni, come with me. I'm making you carry your own for that stupid fucking pun you said.
okay.
And then she stops at the door. She's like, "You know what? You have one arm now, so I think it evens out. You don't have to come."
No, I'll come.
Oh, well, okay. All right.
I can.
He lost an
carry
arm, not a leg, Cecily.
Well, it's just the carrying and fuck me being considerate.
I have a mage hand, it makes up for it, right?
Yeah. Cool. I can do that. That'll help.
All right. So, with that, the two of you depart and you gather some baked goods. Suni, however, you are the person who has been awake for the longest. So you've had a little bit of a jump start on everybody else. Is there anything in particular in this time that Suni would have been working on? Wink.
Well, he immediately started to work on this when he requested the paper and shit from Kyothi. But he would have been unsatisfied with only having one arm and would start trying to think of ways to remedy that solution. He would probably run through a bunch of ideas like a hook hand, like a floppy, weird, whatever, a piece of armor that just hangs there. He would probably go through like a bunch of stuff, but he would eventually start trying to like legitimately craft like a prosthetic for himself.
Okay.
If
As
not
you're-
starting to build it, starting to at least plan it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You've had a lot of time. So I would say that it's been through the iterations over the past 3.5, almost 4 weeks. I mean, you've spent about a month working on this. So I would say in a couple of days, it'll probably be in a prototype stage that you feel like you'd be ready to wear and to use.
Cool.
Bianca,
as you have a little bit more time to be aware of the scar. After Keothi takes a nap, her and Carasilla do a little bit more, I don't want to say testing, but a little bit more care to try and figure out what exactly the scar is. So, Bianca, due to the mortal wounds that you've suffered in the siege of Damaris Keep, you will be given a new feature that is called Celestial Scar. So, the prerequisite to this feat is you have to be Bianca. If you are not Bianca, you cannot take this feat. So when you level up, all of you, whenever that happens next, and you get an ability score improvement or a feat, you cannot choose Celestial Scar, but it'll be a feat that you can pick. So there are 4 features to this feat that are all relatively simple. Yes.
Oh.
So you gain resistance to necrotic damage because of the luminescent scar, the like intricate vitiligo pattern that I mentioned. However, though, because this radiant energy is so present on your skin, you do gain vulnerability to radiant damage. So resistance to necrotic, vulnerability to radiant. Because the celestial marking is so incredibly apparent, whenever you are attempting to talk with celestial beings or creatures aligned with the forces of good, you'll have advantage on those persuasion checks. However, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're trying to make a deal with devils or evil-aligned creatures, you will have disadvantage on those persuasion checks.
That's so funny because she's still a tiefling too. So it's like she's a collection. She's a collage of like celestial and like devil stuff.
Yeah.
Sick. That makes sense though.
Okay.
That's cool. When can I add that to
After the
my
session.
stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Spicy.
Alrighty. So, with that, you take time to rest and to recover. Eventually, Cecily and Suni, the two of you return with all manner of baked goods you could possibly want. And so, I ask all of you, in the next several days, in waiting for a response from Hrothgar, is there anything you want to do?
Yes. I did have like a few things.
The one thing you told me about, if we could wait just a little bit on that one.
Yeah, we can hold off on that. That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Because that is one of them. And the other things, I think pretty early on, like especially after Cecily and Suni went to go get the bread, I think between like Carasilla and Bianca, she would ask Carasilla like to like, I don't know, it sounds weird, but like to play a song to almost like see if we could reach out, not like talk to Ajax, but like see if we can feel like a connection or something, just to kind of a seance, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's just something soothing or like honoring. Yeah. So that's one of them. Bianca would like to obviously connect to the Raven Queen. She's got some mixed feelings going on there. Yeah, probably those main things, and like just make sure she spends time with everybody, especially like her dad and the party, and just a lot of like she's feeling very much the whole I need to be with everybody as much as possible kind of thing. So at least within these next few days, and then she'll expand to be queen stuff, you know.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Yas.
Okay. So, Bianca, you do participate in those different relationships, just trying to rebuild those connections and strengthen them and get your fill of them in the sort of unwavering and unknowing future. In your communion with the Raven Queen, it's strange. It seems as though regardless of what you do to reach out in this current moment, there seems to be no response in any way. it doesn't seem like she's ignoring you, but it definitely doesn't seem like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like she hears you.
Yeah.
You're not sure.
I think she would, wherever she is worshiping, because I know Maester doesn't have a Raven Queen temple, so it's probably just in the lodge. She's probably just feeling very frustrated because it's like a lot of conflict about like trying to honor the balance of life and death, but also struggling with how much death there is and like what is fair death, what is true balance, what is deserved, doesn't matter kind of thing, and just feeling very frustrated, and like the whole survivor's guilt as well on top of it. Like, I'm glad I survived. I'm glad everyone survived that did, but was that right, and everything like that. So makes sense that maybe that connection's kind of weaker at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So, Bianca, as you do that, obviously you and Carousel would work together on the song for potentially communing with the spirit, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Cecily, Suni, Caracilla, is there anything you wanted to do on your own for the all right, Cecily?
Oh, okay, so I did have one thing. She wanted to talk to Suni at some point one-on-one, and since we're going to get bread, that might just be the time to do it.
Okay, yeah.
So
I will say, it'll have to be, if it's okay, a fairly quick conversation, because I do have to go leave to pick Will up here.
okay.
Not to rush you.
How quick is quick?
I don't know. Like, she's done at 10, so I should probably be heading out in the next 5-ish, 10-ish minutes.
All right, let's go. Boom. Get to the point. So, as they're walking, probably just yakking, joking, whatever, she at some point is gonna be like, "Hey, Suni, listen. I know how I can be sometimes, so just tell me if this is something I shouldn't be saying. But do you also see this as an opportunity to have a new, cooler arm than you had before?"
Oh, you don't even know.
Oh, thank fuck.
Reach
Okay,
into the
good.
bag of holding and take out all of these schematics, and half of them are really, really fucking stupid. And like make no sense and are nonsensical, and like have like it might just be because I've been watching a lot of Always Sunny recently, but like I imagine like whenever anybody sees the shit that like Charlie writes, and it's just like half scribbled English words with like hieroglyphs and drawings, it's like it's all like nonsensical, but he just takes out like one and hands it to you, and then another and another and another. I've been thinking about it nonstop.
At first, she'll be like, "Thank fuck." I mean, I would have been sad for you if you were sad, but I'm really glad we're on the same page here. She's...
Oh yeah, I mean, to be honest, like it's really a bummer, and it like is a little humiliating, but I won't have the scaleless problem anymore, except for kind of around my shoulder, which will be nice. And I think you're right. It'll make me look really fucking badass. I think.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Really badass right now. I want to look badass too.
Yeah, all you getting cool wounds. I just have all my old ones.
You want me to like punch you or something?
Nah.
Okay.
Hey, I could... Okay, well, I don't know if it's actually gonna work, but I could try communicating with Poe. I mean, I know he has a fake arm now. I don't know exactly how he got it, but he might know a thing or two.
That would be really... that would be good, because I'm a little over my head right now. I have something in the works, but I just don't know how much it's gonna work.
It's just... We've only messaged each other a couple of times, and it's usually not, super precise or timely. Kind of just goes on the wind. So... But, you know, I'll see what he can do. Maybe he can, vibe me over some blueprints.
That'd be really cool. I really miss them.
Yeah. Also, don't tell the grown-ups that we're messaging again. I kind of just don't want to deal with whatever they're gonna say about it. Especially Tyr. Don't tell Tyr. I'll figure that out later.
You have my word, and he's gonna hold out a pinky for a pinky promise.
Hell yeah. Pinky promise. Alright, and unless there's anything else soon you wanted to say, it's bread time.
He would say, when you speak to him, tell him that I say hi, please.
Do that. Okay.
And then he'll go to, like, I don't know, punch her in the shoulder or something with his left arm and be like, oh fuck.
Dick? Why'd you do that?
I didn't. I don't have an arm to punch you with.
Mark understands now what happened. Okay. Mark had a different image in his head. So Cecily would not say that. I don't know what she'd say, but not that.
He just, like, she would see him, like, really awkwardly kind of, like, leaning his shoulder in and then looking kind of sad about it.
Mm-hmm. She'll pat you on the shoulder.
It'll get there.
So yeah, she will at some point in the next few days get out on the wind and send another message to Poe. Just kind of a lengthy... she'd probably ramble a bunch like she did the last time. Just about how we did it, we saved the kingdom, things are great, things are also really stressful. I don't know, okay, bye. Except it would take 8 minutes. And yeah, hopefully... hopefully get word back on him about arms.
Yeah.
What a game this is.
Yeah. So, you send the message out, and you can tell that this time it is a bit more... The words move more freely. It seems as though whatever hold Ivana had, it corrupted the natural elements to a degree. And now that she is no more, as well as the white dragon that was under her control is no longer here, the environment and the weather stabilizes. And you're able to send the words, and you feel as though they travel on the wind much quicker. So hopefully you will see a response much sooner.
Sweet. Okay. Other stuff would just be talking to Tyr at some point and recouping. And something with the whole party at some point, but that'd be it.
Okay, sounds good to me. So, Carasilla, was there anything you wanted to do on your own?
Yeah, just a small little thing. And I think she would have also done it the previous day when she was a bit more mobile. In the past few days as well. Week? I don't know. Time. But she has gotten herself into a new habit of just every morning, just before the sun will rise, she'll find some kind of like tall place, like balcony, whatever it is, and just watch the sunrise each morning. And she will do that basically every morning that passes. But other than that, she would just want to spend time in the city with people and, just try her best to get people that still need them to whatever resources they need. And just, be there to lighten anyone's mood that need it. But that's all she'd be doing.
Okay. Alrighty. Sounds good to me. So, in this moment, Carosella, after you go through those motions and sort of create that new ritual for yourself, at one of those instances, at a certain point before the ritual is done for, or not the ritual, but the communion is done with Ajax, I believe, Bianca, you had something very specific you wanted to do.
Yes. So, Carosella, Bianca would come to you and have an idea, and to basically say, I feel like beyond just like reaching out to the Forerunners to get them updated and we can all be on the same page a little bit better about our journeys, I feel like it's time I talk to Nalfian, the one from our timeline, as a, Damaris, so connected to the Baynir family. I don't even know what he knows and what insights he has or how close he is to Malice, if at all. We just connecting with Eurydice was great, but I feel like it's time that we communicate. So if you'd be able to assist me with that, I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Words will be your own after all.
Okay.
But I can put you through, I suppose.
And then Joe, do you want me to adhere to the 25 words per sending kind of thing?
No, I was actually just messaging Kayla, considering that Carosella probably, doesn't need too many of her spell slots. Yeah. We'll say that,
use all of them.
that the two of you can, that when you message Nalfian, the two of you can have a bit more of a normal conversation. And just so you know, Nalfian, this would be, oh God, which night would this be? This would be the morning of the ball, right after the moment with Dickon and the Sword from the Stone challenge.
So before Quig was poisoned. Before that.
Yeah, and
It's
before
gonna change how his mood is.
and before the Kraken. Yeah, this is a good mood Nalfian, not a bad mood Nalfian.
Hey, cool. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
He
No.
might answer the phone and be like, "Who the fuck is this?" Versus, "Hey,
Fuck! I am busy. My daughter almost died.
Yeah.
My mom harassed me again.
So
okay."
yeah, tomorrow will be the ball, the poisoning, the crack in the sky. But right now, Nalfian's good.
Cool. Sweet. Okay. All right. So let me just pull up my notes so I know what I wanted to touch on. Okay. She will reach out and say, "Hi, Nalfian. I feel like I know you, but I definitely don't. I'm Bianca from The Wanderers, and you may know me as Bianca Dusong, but I'm actually Bianca Damaris, and we've been working to reclaim the Damaris throne and fix the old kingdom in the Salamander coast. There's probably a lot of similarities that we run into on our journeys, our two groups, and I just wanted to connect with you because I feel like beyond just that, our groups are going through such similar journeys. Maybe we have some similar events that have really impacted us with our families. What's going on here, in the grand scheme of everything, now that the old kingdom is free of Ivana's curse, the Damaris curse, we're going to rebuild the Old Kingdom as we continue to fight against the Dark One. We were able to take out one of the 13, and we've seen another dead by this man called the Creator, who's from a destroyed timeline. He's from the Astral Sea. If any of this rings a bell to you, or if any of this is helpful, please let me know. And if there's anything we can do to assist you, please let us know. Thanks.
And he can just respond freely, right, Joe?
Yes.
Wow. And hello to you too. That's a lot of information that you just gave to me. First thing, Damaris, I know that name, but I didn't know you were one and the same, Bianca. The same family. Offsuit of Bainir. Am I right?
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm.
Does that make us cousins?
Potentially.
I'm so sorry that you are in this family.
I didn't know about it until this year, so in reality, I'm more sorry for you. But appreciate the kind words.
What's the curse you're talking about? I thought the Damars, I thought they got out. I thought they're like establishing themselves. They're doing better.
Well, yes, my great grandfather did and built this kingdom, and it was flourishing and did well until my grandmother got power hungry and decided to basically make a deal with a devil / the Dark One and put a curse over the land and tried to be the remaining ruler for eternity, and tried to kill both me and my father in order to do so. But
yeah, that sounds like more Bainir than...
Yeah.
That checks out.
Mm-hmm. We ran into Malice a few times, and we spent a brief time in the Underdark. I assume you are more than familiar with her?
Unfortunately.
She's been around here.
Great. She's been everywhere, then. That doesn't surprise me.
I don't know what her main plan is. I know she likes to work for herself over her having allies per se. I don't know if that's any helpful information, but she's been not just around the Old Kingdom, but also up in Brahmsgrove, where the First Light is.
It's helpful because it tells me that she has her hand in every single pot, and her eyes are everywhere. Thank you. If she reaches out, and she will reach out again, don't trust anything she says. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that, but I'm gonna say it anyway. She's keen on making deals, ones that you can't get out of.
Understand that. We've been on the end of one of them before. Thankfully, everything did work out in our favor, but would not like to be there again.
I wouldn't suggest it. But I didn't think I would be having a conversation with someone from my own family on the same page, so this is refreshing, so forgive me if I feel like I don't know what to say.
It's all right. I don't either, and it's been weird because I've lost a lot of family, as I'm sure you have, in various ways. So maybe all of us could, besides going through such similar experiences, our two groups, just having people who understand would be nice.
It'll be good to be on the same page. You mentioned a 13. Who exactly is gone?
I'm gonna need a reminder because I keep thinking Mysterio, and I know it's not Mysterio. I was like, we killed 2 of them. I don't
Anvath.
remember. Anvath and the beekeeper
Wicker.
Wicker. She says that in the Bianca way that she does. Wicker was killed by the creator. Anvath, we handle ourselves with I don't know if you're familiar with the Wardens of Afera, but Varnast assisted us.
Right, I'm
Nalfian, you hear
familiar.
Doglin barking in the background.
I'm very familiar.
This is what we gotta get them on the same page.
No,
you
no, no,
know?
this is great. This
We gotta do
conversation
catch up.
didn't happen
Ages
ago.
So yeah.
Well, I will say we took care of Cassius Finch, so that makes 3.
Great.
Start.
Good.
But creator, I don't know who that is.
He's a very unique person. He's from a timeline or a thread of existence, however all of that works, that is no longer. He escaped. He's from the Astral Sea. He kind of is almost like a Dark One vigilante, where he kind of walks his own path in order to destroy the Dark One. Whatever means possible, so not necessarily a good person, but not also an enemy. We kind of keep tabs on him when we can, stay out of his way and he stays out of ours, but I don't think he's ever gone anywhere near all of you. He's up here in Salamander Coast, so just if you do run into anyone like that, let us know.
Well, it's funny you should say that. We recently had a fun trip to the Astral Sea, and we met someone who also is from another timeline, who has also been affected by the Dark One in a losing effort. Zephyrin, right, Joe? I keep getting their names mixed up. Yeah, Zephyrin is our alien boy. You shouldn't have named them so close together. Ephraim. Okay. I mean, I don't know if that name rings any bells, but Ephraim, it had the creator mention. I don't know if they're from the same timeline, but just an interesting thought.
Has the creator brought up an Ephraim at all, Joe? I didn't think so. No, he didn't, but when we run into him again, I can definitely mention the name, and if you want to mention... I don't think we got the creator's actual name. He just goes by the creator, right,
No,
Joe?
you did.
Okay, we did.
Yeah, when he came to you the first time around, or the second time around when you guys were in the Underdark and offered you a way out, he gave you his name.
Okay, I thought he did, but I couldn't remember it.
Boop, boop. Casoro Valaja.
All right.
I'll post it in the chat.
Fancy.
He's an alien. Thank you, Gemma.
Well, I can't also say Ephraim or Ephraim, so I get you.
Casoro Velara. Did I say that right?
Valaja.
Valaja. All right. She'll say that name and say that's his official name. He goes by the creator now. So if we can just see if the two of them maybe are familiar with either existing maybe in the previous timeline or even this one. Very funny.
As long
how we both
as
ran into them.
that's what I'm thinking. As long as we have a common enemy, that's what's important. And if you trust him, right?
Trust that we have the same enemy? Yes.
Right.
Will we go about it in the same way? Most likely not. He tried to, successfully with one of our party members. He had been making creatures, kidnapping people and creating these mutant-like creatures in order to build up an army to fight the Dark One. And with one of our party members, took a sample of our DNA and they're not humanoids. They don't have souls. They're just strong warriors, and that's all they do. They're not alive. It's kind of like undead. It's very I don't even know. I can't even think of the word. You know, not what we would probably do.
A very unique way of going about solving the problem.
Yes.
Maybe making more problems along the way, I see.
Yes, his mindset is the sacrifices in order to save the Dark One aren't sacrifices. Or defeat the Dark One are not sacrifices.
Right. I have a feeling that things are about to get worse. Foreshadowing. And we're gonna see a lot of fanatics and a lot of creators. So just be mindful, which I'm sure you already are. And again, a lot of information, a lot of unknown. Eurydice reached out recently, and we were told that you lost some people in this battle.
I believe she connected with Rothgar, and at the time, a majority of my party, we were gone. It took all of us a various amount of time to be found and recover. But at this time, our party member Ajax is not living. We are working to maybe fix that. Fix is probably not the correct word, but I hope he can return to us. I don't know with the Raven Queen. I am a Valkyrie, if you're familiar with them at all, and so I guess
apologize. I realize this is probably a very intense subject.
He's just a very good friend. And we'll see what the Raven Queen allows, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. I am truly sorry for the losses that you all have taken. And I hope that you can bring him back. But no, whatever happens, you all are fighting the good fight. And it's gonna take moments and people like us to make a difference, to stop the storm from coming. He didn't die in vain, I'm sure.
No, he was brave till the very end. But I know we don't have a ton of time. I wanted to ask, what are your next steps? Just so
right
we can
now,
expect the same.
we are at the Tournament of the Green Lady. We have a few more days left. Goal is to get through successfully and utilize that win to, well, take us and carry us. I believe the goal is to siege Hazard's Hollow and to take that land back for Twig. Also, we have a sneaking suspicion that there also might be another 13 there. We can take back what's rightfully hers and also push back another one of the Forsaken. We did manage to find and contact Emerald. He is very aware of everything that is happening, and he's working on rallying together his students to help fight back as well. If you haven't had contact with him, I'm sure he will be reaching out soon.
We're working on speaking with him specifically regarding Ajax's resurrection, potential resurrection.
If anyone can do it, it'll be him.
Thank you for bringing him back. That journey must have been incredibly dangerous.
It was rough. I thought we were gonna lose some of our own, but we made it. You guys can get through it too. But that's where we're headed after this. After Hazard's Hollow, I don't know. There's been some whispers of some other... Let's just say there's something in the air.
Agreed.
What about you all?
We're working to rebuild the old kingdom, make it a safe place, our foundation, our rock, so that we can expand and go out and always have a place to come back to. There is some matters we may have to take care of in the Atashari lands, the islands. If you're familiar at all with the Salamander coast, it's just a bit northeast from where we are right now. Just some of our old investors as we start to basically reconstruct the old kingdom and Bella Clara as a whole. It'll be a long journey, but we're gonna try and start small and expand. But Mirka, one of the 13, has been spending time around the old kingdom, and I think while we focus on rebuilding, we're going to seek out those 13 members and start to take them out one by one as well. From there, we can, if you would like, connect after you reclaim Twig's land, and maybe we can have a more formulated attack on once we find more information and start to really make even more waves against this Dark One.
Yes, I think there's going to come a time where we will be together in person. And it's going to... Not the family reunion I was looking forward to.
We'll
but
make the best of it.
I think so. If there's anything at all that you all need, reach out. In times like this is all we have. Not everyone is going to believe the Dark One. Not everyone is going to fear the way they should. We're going to lose a lot of good people along the way, so we need to stay strong in the numbers we have. And be on the same page.
Agreed, and same to you and your party, and it's just nice to know that there is someone we can trust.
Bianca, I'm glad I met you.
What's even funnier is I have met you, just not the you.
Oh, that guy? He's pretty
Um,
alright.
He was an older you from the future. I didn't mind him.
I promise
You
I'm
hear
far
old
better
man
in
Nalf in your
person.
head, Nalfian go.
Shut up!
Do you want to tell them about what happened with me? They don't know.
We don't need to bring that up now.
We don't
Okay.
know. I don't know. I just think there's an old man Nelfian walking around. That's so funny.
All right. Okay, sorry.
I'll
go ahead.
reintroduce you in person. Don't worry about it.
Oh. Sounds good.
Alright. Thank you. Consider my mind blown.
I've been meaning to reach out to you for a while, so I do apologize on the delay. There's just been a lot of things.
Yes. Yes, there has.
I want to say,
Until
like,
we-
talk soon. or
Yeah,
see
right?
you
Like, until we meet again.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
I'll just say, stay safe.
You too. And good luck bringing your friend back.
Thank you. Truly.
And now we'll hang up.
Thanks, Kayla. You're welcome. Anytime, Queen. That was so
Nalfian,
wonderful.
with that, you head to Dickon's tent to help him get ready for the ball.
Boy.
Yep. And thanks, Kayla, for popping in.
Yes, thank you.
And Carasilla and Lila just tapped for spells right now.
Yeah, I mean, after that, I imagine like they'd have to be sitting down. I
Yeah.
imagine Carasel's just gonna flop backwards. God, you talk so much.
I'm so sorry. It was my cousin.
Ah, no,
I
it's
didn't
good.
know I had.
I mean, literally,
Yeah,
though,
he's
it's
a
not even
person.
like second cousin, because it's like Malice.
So fucking weird.
Malice
know.
is her, like,
Right, like
grandma.
whatever grandmother.
I
Kayla.
mean, okay, but like, Bianca is several generations away from Malice, though. So there's at
Yeah.
least a little bit of fuckiness going in there. I don't
is
know
he
if it's
like
a direct
cousin or uncle? Is he
He
like
came
a
back
great
for the
uncle?
family tree connection, just so you know.
Yeah.
I don't think married, heard Joe yelling about it.
I think it's cousin because
Yeah, I think it's cousin.
Nalfian's
I don't know how
brother.
trees work.
No, Nalfian's brother is Alendar, the original founder of Damaris.
Right.
Bianca is a granddaughter. Oh my God! So does that mean like? Actually,
Many
is that,
granddaughters. Does that my uncle?
yeah,
Is he my
Nalfian
uncle?
is your uncle. Actually,
That's cool. Whoa.
Okay.
That's really funny.
I have
'Cause
a
I'm like, if it's
niece.
his brother, I'm your niece.
All right. Pretend Nelfian said niece instead of cousin.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's
Light
so
out.
funny.
You know, it's a real thing in families, though, where you don't exactly know how you're related, so you just call
Mhm.
each other cousin.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Because I think for Bianca too, like the Baynir name, she didn't know that Nalfian's a Malice-born Baynir. It could have been of different of her
Yeah.
daughters, you
Yeah.
know.
And
so,
like, especially if age gaps are weird, or like
Right.
there's like
yeah.
people that stayed after a divorce and aren't even blood technically, and you know, whatever. They're all cousins.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think Bianca
But-
probably would have thought cousin, but when they connect, maybe they'll be like, "Oh wait, you're my uncle."
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
Because that means you're not even an uncle removed. It is just your uncle.
Yeah.
Because it's still just Nalfian's brother. It's
Yep.
just his brother 2,000
dead.
years ago or whatever.
Yeah, because Malice
Is it removed though when it's like children, right? Because like your cousin removed is like the child of your cousin, right? I don't know trees again.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Your
Anyway,
family, that's what
we
matters.
can- we-
Yeah,
I have a
family.
petition. Keep Ajax alive, please.
well,
Agreed.
the bit of an issue with that, can't keep something alive that's dead. She just yelled.
So then, okay,
Okay.
we gotta keep him dead then. You know, to like.
I don't think that's what she was.
correct
I don't think that's what Kayla was
that.
saying.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Oof. All right.
Oh, hi, John. I forgot you were
I
there.
want to shatter the lantern
Yeah, he
or
got it.
rake it so the
Yeah, it's
soul
easy
just
to forget
oozes
I'm
out all
dead.
through the carpet.
All right. So,
Ew! We got a vacuum.
we're not gonna ooze any souls out on the rug. All right. We're gonna.
Cool.
It's like glitter, you'll never get them back together.
I think that would make Tyr feel very strange.
You know, if his body didn't get kicked off, he probably could have made it into a carpet or something.
You
That
would
would have been weird.
Ajax.
Little
I want the
line.
Ajax frog.
Yeah, you would have.
We could have put his soul back into the zombie body, and he would have been like, "Great, now I can't
Okay.
die."
Next best thing, we as a party need to track down a lion, skin it, bleach it, done. Ajax
Oh
frog.
my god.
That's awful.
So,
guys should get back to D&D.
are we connecting with
I-
Emerald soon?
Oh
Yeah, is
God.
everyone here yet? Sush, do we know if we can go say hi?
Well, now hold on, folks. I wanted to talk to Tyr.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, what I will say is Bianca and Carousella, maybe later that day, the two of you do have a small seance with the lantern. You
I want to just clarify. I'm not trying to talk to Ajax.
No, I
just
know.
want to send good vibes.
yeah.
Okay.
That was the what I was receiving as well.
Okay.
So you
Good.
play some music and you hope that it has a positive impact. You're not sure if it does anything, but it's there. The positive
Awesome.
energy. Yeah. Okay. So, Cecily,
Joe.
you wanted to talk to Tyr.
Oh.
Got a Twizzler.
Yeah. Yes. She would like to do that in the evening of some day.
Okay, yeah. So in one of the evenings, we'll say this evening, because tomorrow evening is a little awkward. But on this evening, you can find him with some of the Loshari monks. And before you get there, I just want to give all of you a breakdown of where things stand right now. So, in terms of losses, I'm going to give you guys those numbers now. Okay, so we'll say that at this point, right before you go and talk to Tyr, Sir LaPierre gives all of you the final count after almost all the bodies have been retrieved, and at this point, anybody that has not been found can be presumed dead anyway. Lost at the wall in the initial portion of the siege was 8,500 soldiers. Lost in the city was 7,325 soldiers. And then in the final push of the siege in the keep, 3,660 soldiers were lost, leaving your total losses at about 19,000 people, which means that there are a little bit less than 6,000 soldiers remaining from your initial fighting force when you left Maester. Of those 6,000, there are 5 soldiers of the 45 remaining from Periton. There were 5 Kuatoa, not 4, there were 5, I'm pretty sure. 3 Kuatoa remaining, 50 Loshari monks. They are still here, guided by Tyr. There are 150 basilisks, but the basilisks, without Bataille to guide them, the clan pretty much collapsed and they've been assimilated by the Gorgons, which is now the only mountain clan remaining, since the basilisks and the rocks have now been destroyed, since the rock is dead. There were only 100 of the Company of the Order of the Golden Heart that were remaining. And that guild, now that the Old Kingdom has been restored to its glory, has been disbanded, allowing the Golden Heart to rest within the Northern Mountains. There are 500 crown keepers remaining. These are now being led by a politician as opposed to a military leader, Artur Husak, Bianca, the individual that you knew. There are 400 loyalists remaining, led by Victor. And Victor has been managing a lot of the busy work for you, Bianca. So a lot of the clerical work, he keeps you up to date on it. He's not trying to conceal anything, but he's making sure that everything in your absence has been taken care of. There were only 15 of the Arboreal Exiles remaining. That entire faction is disbanded, as there is now no more elemental threat remaining. 1,000 of the Order of the All-Seeing remain. Since Illithor is no longer there, they don't need a military leader. They are continued to be led by Liliana Brighton now. There are 1,500 Children of the Flame that are left, led by Hrothgar. 500 of the Brotherhood survived, with Alika having perished in the fight. Erebos, an individual that all of you are familiar with. Well, the original group is familiar with. Erebos was the undead man who you met all the way back at Old Spire Outpost. Then there are 250 Knights of the Dawn remaining, led by Sir Lapierre, and 1,500 Kobdar dwarves remaining, led by Vondor Lastbreath. He is taking charge of keeping them together and keeping the culture alive in place of King Borelli. So, it seems as though in most cases the factions have been replaced by somebody that you either know of or do trust. And the ones that you weren't exactly sure which way they were going to go are disbanded. The only question mark is the Gorgons, the mountain clans to the south. Hopefully, with what the basilisks worked with you and the respect they had for Ajax, hopefully that will not end in a negative way. Hopefully they will just recede into the mountains and not come out. That'd be pretty nice, wouldn't it? So, that being said, that's all the information that you need. Cecily, you now make your way down into the city, and you find Tyr with those 50 Loshari monks. You see he thanks them and gives them packages of materials and herbs and things from the garden, preparing to send them off back to Loshar. So as you approach, he seems wrapped up in the conversation.
That's what she came here for. So she'll politely wait out the conversation, just kind of stand there, arms folded. And then as soon as he's available, I kind of forgot about the garden until now, to be honest with you, and now I'm worried it's getting burnt. How is it doing?
The garden is doing very well. With the help of the dryad in the grove, the temperature is welcoming to all plants that are planted there. They're thriving.
Yeah, my mom and I never had a dryad. That seems like a crutch.
It is definitely gardening for beginners. You can make a few more errors.
Well, mind if I take a look at whatever's left?
Let's do so together.
So yeah, she'll kind of lead the way, be glancing at everything. We got the numbers today. I don't know if you heard.
I have, yes. It is the great tragedy of war. Lives are always lost. We just need to do what we can to honor them. Help them find rest. I suppose that's the difference between someone like me and there are individuals very similar to Odin and myself that exist in Thrall. But the one they consider the god of war there is... he revels in it a bit more. It's a game, a competition, to prove your worth and mettle. For me, I think that it's only fair to recognize the tragedy of war. How it is an unnecessary force in the world. To be fair, it's one of my least favorite things. But it has always been something I've been talented at. Suppose I have a gift.
Do you think it had to happen?
If everyone were like me, and you... No. There could have been another way. So all those soldiers, that they wouldn't have needed to make that sacrifice, but sadly some people they don't have it in their heart to allow such things. Because of the world we live in, war can be a necessary evil. The right choice was made, and all of you fought valiantly. They knew what could have happened to them. As sad as it is to say.
It's hard to think it's worth it. I know it is. I mean, I can look outside. Pretty good indicator. As sweaty as I am. But it's really hard to feel like it is. It's hard to keep living. The old me would have run right in 100 times during that entire siege. I would have gotten myself blown up just to save a few people. If I'm being honest, I would have gotten myself blown up because it would have been easier. No matter who I saved. Now... fought smart. I fought hard. I was tired, of course. I'm still tired, but... compared to the fights I've been in before, it's like that entire siege I hardly got scratched, and I just had to keep watching people die. And the worst part is, right before we went in, Ajax said that he loved all of us, and that we were all his best friends. And I tried so fucking hard to say it back, and I couldn't. And now he might never hear me say it.
You know, some Loshari monks spend their entire lives living in a vow of silence. They never speak a word. They learn how to communicate ideas and thoughts, how to impart great wisdom and share their feelings with the look in their eyes. To the unwise among them, they may see the smallest twitch of an eye and ignore it. They might be offended that this monk doesn't speak to them. How dare they not? I try so hard to learn from them, and they treat me this way. But then there are those who have the wisdom to listen. Not to words, but to actions. To how you hold yourself around them. Just because you didn't say that to Ajax doesn't mean he didn't hear it. You know you loved him dearly, and he knew that too. He heard you, even if you never said it.
I think, at that, the armor that she had on for the past, 3 months at this rate, is gonna finally start cracking down. And she's just gonna sit somewhere near a tree or something in the garden and just start crying.
Tyr would kind of scoop you into his arms and just hold you.
That was pretty good, but I still want to learn how to say it.
And you will. When you're ready, you will.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all she wanted to do.
Alrighty. So, that we leave the grove, return back into the city. Now, was there anything else anybody wanted to do before the communication and arrival of Emerald?
Not that I can think of.
Nope. Okay. So if there is nothing, Suni, before Emerald's arrival, you would finish your arm.
I don't
Are you
know
there?
if Cameron's back yet.
Oh no! Is he not? Okay.
I don't think so.
Cameron. Nope. Okay. All right. Well, I thought
that would summon him.
yeah, I thought maybe I could speak the language. Okay. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and take a brief break right there. We'll be back in 5-10 minutes. Hopefully Cameron will be back. He can receive his new arm, and we can get on to what Emerald has in store for all of you. So thanks for watching so far, and we will be right back.
go back to
We're
EZ.
back. All right. Thank you so much for waiting around, everybody. We're back. I have burritos. Mark has bagels. I hear
milk.
And the milk. I hear Felicity wrote a song about bagels. Felicity, would you
I
like
did.
to?
I'll have to sing it too. Do you want me to sing it now for
On
everyone?
stream.
So it
on
is.
the internet.
So it is.
Hey,
It is
boy.
memorialized.
As the bagel boy, I want to hear this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Popping bagels in the toaster. Like a baker. When we snack, we do it right and getting cooler. Okay, that's all I had. I didn't have any more. You didn't give me enough time.
No.
Kids.
I think there was a third line, wasn't there?
It's too late
I
now.
don't know.
She never got around to it.
No. Joe, you made
Anyway,
it
can we
sound like
play
there
the
was
game now?
the whole. I
I
That's on the
didn't
internet.
listen. I didn't say anything. I said Felicity had a song. I didn't say
And-
anything more.
I believe the words, Mark. Oh, thank you, Felicity. That was beautiful, Felicity. You're beautiful, Felicity.
I mean, I was getting there.
The song,
I'm
the
dead.
parody was all right. So- a little bit of a slant rhyme
I never
there at the
claimed to
end.
be a. I'm not a writer. I never claimed to be a writer.
Felicity, didn't you write a play?
Anyone else know that reference?
Yeah, did-
It's a reference. I'm leaving. It's...
You didn't leave.
No,
you
wait,
just
come back.
muted
We
your
need
mic.
you
Oh,
here
okay,
to bring
there
back
you go.
Ajax.
All
Guess
right.
we can't get Ajax back. What a shame.
Anyone else know that? I'm not a fighter. I never claimed to be a fighter. No.
Is it
Yeah.
a TikTok
Go
sound?
on. No, go on. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I got it.
I'm in
It's from the
pain.
thing. It's from that one thing, right?
No, it's
Oh,
a
that one
TikTok
thing.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said
that's
that. I
what-
literally just said, isn't that a TikTok sound?
Yeah.
I said it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
anyway.
know.
Game.
She
Game.
didn't hear you. You're dead.
Game.
I'm sorry.
You see this? I'm grabbing your attention, right? I've got it. I've got it right here. It's in my
Can I have it
in my
back?
grip. No. So, as we dive back into the session, all of you have spent the past several days collecting yourselves, resting, recuperating from the intense, to say the least, month that all of you have been recovering from. It's just beginning to settle in now, but since you arrived in the Old Kingdom, you haven't really had a moment to truly rest and be at peace. Even after Periton, you took time to rebuild, to rest a bit, but it wasn't stress-free. You still had the looming threat of Ivana in front of you. But now the Old Kingdom is free. From what you hear from Victor, many of the other cities within Bella Clara, even though they are currently scattered a bit without the guidance of their investors, Victor is working closely with the Brotherhood and with the Children of the Flame and Hrothgar to try and establish some type of leadership in these places so they don't completely dissolve. There's progress. But most importantly of all, each one of you have been able to take a moment to breathe, to rest, to reflect on what you've been through and what is in front of you. The most daunting of those tasks, however, seems to be Ajax, and how you hope to have him return to you. So, all of you have been waiting on Hrothgar, on Emeril, for some type of response. Eventually, as all of you sit and rest, as Suni, you finish the final iteration of your prototype of the arm, something that is usable but potentially could be improved upon in the future. So I will add this as a feat that you can use after the game. I'll add it as a feat to your character sheet. Prerequisite for this feat is you need to be Suni. So if you guys ever level up, don't take this feat, same as Bianca's. But this feat is called Primordial Prosthesis. So, Suni, would you like to describe what the prosthetic arm looks like?
Yeah. So it's when he unveils it to everybody, he's kind of just like wobbling it around. It's very bones looking, pieces of metal kind of put together, some kind of support beams between what basically are the equivalent of like, is it like tibia and fibia? Are those what those bones are called? Or is that in your leg? I don't know. Those like the twisty bones in your forearm?
Radius and the other one.
Sure. Got it. The equivalent of those bones with like kind of like support beams kind of going through. And as he kind of puts it in place, you can see like his armor kind of start to glow, this kind of greenish color on the underneath, and very slowly, these little vines start to like sprout out from where his shoulder is, and kind of overlap. I almost kind of imagine it looking kind of like when the Venom symbiote kind of goes on Spider-Man for like the first time, and it's like kind of like webby, kind of grabbing onto everything, kind of creating these like muscles out of vines and like little leaves and flowers that are kind of in between as he casts Druidcraft to create the muscles in the arm.
That's so cool.
Okay. So Suni, considering you lost an arm and you rebuilt it on your own using the connection you have to Eloin as well as your history as an artificer from the past, the arm has several features that you can use. And like I said, I will add these to your character sheet after the session. So, for one, Primordial Strength is the first one. Once per short rest, you can call upon the Strength of the Mountains, granting you advantage on strength-based or a strength saving throw. Thing number 2, Natural Adaptation. The integration of nature into your prosthetic allows you to commune with nature or the natural world more deeply. You can cast Speak with Plants once per long rest without expending a spell slot.
Hell yeah, talking to plants.
Yep. The final feature that you can use that has an actual mechanical benefit is Earthen Grasp. Once per long rest, you can channel the forces of the primordial earth through your arm, allowing you to cast Maximilian's Earthen Grasp without expending a spell slot. Your charisma modifier for this is Charisma. Your charisma modifier, your spellcasting modifier, it's Charisma. Two things to keep in mind with it. Sorry, I know you keep trying to say how cool it is, which I'm very appreciative of. Thing number 1 is that the arm has a chance to malfunction in extreme heat or extreme cold. So if that does ever happen, you need to make a con saving throw for it. And if it does break, you are unable to use any of the features until you take a short rest to repair it.
Okay.
All right. So with that, like I said, I'll add it after the session, but as you sling it on and connect it, you feel some fine motor skills returning. It's a little rough to begin with. You do have an arm of metal and plant matter, but you do get the hang of it eventually.
You'll kind of just be playing with moving the fingers around very mechanically at first, as like you can see, anybody who's watching can see like individual vines like tighten and pull on the inside of the metal and like pull like each of the fingers down and around, just playing with the new muscles, viney muscles.
That's amazing, Suni.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I love
didn't know
it.
if it was gonna work, but
I won't tell Poe, but yours looks cooler.
It does look cooler.
Well, thank you. Can I feel pain in this metal arm or in the vines?
I'm gonna go with no.
That would be my guess too. I just didn't know.
You are one with the
No,
plant.
no,
You
no.
can-
You
One
do.
of the plants.
You can feel it in the plant matter, but not in the metal.
Okay.
So if like a dagger were to stab one of the vines, you'd be like, oh shit. But hitting one of the metals, you'd be like, ain't no thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had hot burrito in my mouth when you asked.
We saw.
I'm sorry.
Got it.
Many apologies.
Does Suni bleed chlorophyll now?
You know it.
No, strangely, the vines bleed blood.
Oh. But the rest of Suni does bleed chlorophyll.
Yeah.
Bleeds maple syrup.
Actually, also, just talk about Suni matter. So like, all the Draconians have been lost, right?
Yes, they are all dead.
Okay. I mean, I kind of like that because then there's not that moral gray area of what the fuck do we do
Yeah.
with these soulless things. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify. That's all.
I want to create a miniature one that follows me around.
Morals be damned.
Damn.
I want a mini me.
I want a mini draconian who I can put in my pocket.
Just call it the creator.
Pocket draconian.
Get like a pixie-sized Sunni.
I didn't realize how
Draconian.
many you were talking.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
thought
thought
we were
initially I thought you meant
talking
halfling.
halfling
Yeah,
Yeah.
No. I want one that can just like pop in like.
like Krunk, like
Yeah.
tiny Krunk in the Emperor's New
Yeah.
Groove, like a little shoulder one. Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, except it's Sunni and Sunni.
Just call up the creator. I'm sure he'd be down. That's all I'm
Oh, yeah.
saying.
Take
Yeah.
my scales.
Okay. Sunni, as you finish your prosthetic arm with all of its features, several hours pass from that moment, and what I would say is, Cecily, you receive a message through the means of sending. However, you can tell that this is a bit more of a sustained connection, as you, right off the bat, hear Emerald, as he says,
Cecily, from what I hear from Hrothgar, you and all of your companions are in good health, aside from Ajax. I would love to discuss further with you and your companions what I can do to help. I want you to know that I have no issues with coming to you, and should the College of Hearthcrest raise an issue, I will talk to them freely, but I don't want to cause any more problems for all of you. Let me know what you wish to do, and I will proceed that way. And I hope it goes without saying, I'm very glad to hear that you are doing all right. Seems as though you've mastered the magic that you've been gifted with, and that makes me very happy to hear.
She will respond. Hey, dude. Heard you were in a prison in space for a while. Glad you got out of that. Sounds terrible. I think we would like to meet you outside of the city. Mostly for our sake, but also for yours. There's already a lot going on over here. We don't need one more thing, you know? Either way, let us know where we can meet you, and I'm sure we'll figure out a way to get there. No hard feelings or anything. I know you care. Life has been a lot lately.
Yes. Being in that prison, it sucked. Yes, it was very bad. But we can now strive for something better. Head north out of Maeston for an hour or so on horseback. I'll be there.
Cool. I'll tell the others. Oh, and as long as we're here,
Yes.
what are the names of the people that were in there with you? I don't want to seem dumb later. They were 13, right?
Yes. The two individuals that were there with me were Mezin Kelnos and Cassius Finch. However, Cassius Finch he's been redeemed, actually. He found peace.
Oh. I didn't even know that could happen.
I did not either.
Oh. First time for anything? Okay. I'll let him know.
With that, you can feel the connection sever.
Hey y'all, I was just chatting with Emeril. And she'll...
Maybe don't scream that.
She's not screaming. Joe, where are we? I'm assuming we're in our lodge. I don't... Just like out at a bakery. Hey guys! Just talking to a criminal!
Bolarolos just happens to be walking by. What were you doing?
He's being slow, we can let him go.
I mean, we were squawking with a swim animal. No, so...
God, you told Cecily for the goddamn last time.
Roll deception. But... Yeah, no, she'll just let them all know, his directions.
All right. Then I guess onward, unless anyone had anything else. But can I long rest?
Yes, all of you can long rest now.
I just realized I'm at 1 HP, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be relevant, but I'll go ahead and do that.
Right.
Okay.
All right, but yeah. Horses attain.
Before we leave, after Cecily said that, actually, Sunny would want to, if everyone's there, Keothi or not, or I don't really care, he would want to tell everybody about what had happened to him before, the invasion. So, after Cecily said that, he would ask if we have time to do this, that is.
Yeah.
Okay. He would, ask everybody, or he would say, before the invasion, I had something happen with Emeril, who I'm assuming was the bad one, because otherwise it wouldn't have made any sense. And I didn't want to tell any of you about it right then, because we had much bigger things on our plate. But he approached me after I left from talking with Hrothgar, out of nowhere, and just cast all of these visions into my head of really, really horrible things that I've done. And I don't know. It was really horrible. And the worst part is that I know it's all real. So I before we go and talk to him, just in case any of that, I wanted everyone to know. It was really, really scary, but it all seems so far away now.
Well, how do you know it was real? Because if they were visions, could they not have been manipulated?
It felt exactly the same as any time I'd been taken back to then. This weird in-between of existing in memory. I don't know.
And this was on the night that I found you, right?
That's right.
I just... How long were you... When did Emerald find you? Because I know that you were with Hrothgar on that day. Was it later in the evening, or...?
Honestly, I wasn't even with Hrothgar that long. We just had a little bit of a chat about Sunny and Desmond and all of that, and I was actually starting to feel a little bit better about the whole thing. He just walked up out of some shady alleyway and told me that I was a monster, and showed me that I was a monster, that I'm capable of being one and one.
Remember that
I've-
time we saw Emeril in the fire? He gave us a rule, right? If we go to him, it's one thing. If he comes to us, it's another. I don't know if it's real or not, but I think you should at least bring it up.
Yeah.
He probably has no memory of it happening because it probably wasn't him. Or this him. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, God.
I also think that what Bianca said, despite any feelings of how real it is worth taking at least a couple grains of salt. I mean, we know that we cannot trust any corrupted version of Emeril. That he would want to.
Oh my God.
He would want to prey upon any fears, any doubts, any worries that you might have. Present any worst versions that there might be. So I'm not denying that there might have been bad things, but I also don't think you should believe him wholly either.
Hrothgar told me that I killed children. It's not just Emerald. He showed it to me, but Hrothgar told me. I slaughtered innocent children. Amongst others.
Well, Suni, even if all that is true, in whatever capacity it is true, that's not you. Maybe a past life, like you've been saying, but I think what separates man from monster is how you're feeling right now regarding all that. You're not relishing in what your past lives have done. You're disgusted and regretful, even if the you we know never actually did any of those things. I'm not familiar with what past lives even mean. I know Ashima touched on it a little bit, but maybe it doesn't mean that that's you, even if it's a past life.
I hope that's true.
You should be comforted in the fact that you're not, that the discovery of what you or those who carried the same name and abilities as you did, that you're different and have been and want to be different.
I don't want to be a monster. And thank you all for keeping me on the right path.
It hasn't been hard.
I don't know, I've made some boneheaded decisions.
Boneheaded
I'll admit
choices
it.
and being evil are vastly different.
Fair enough.
I gotta be honest, Suni, you've never scared me. You've worried me. Like when you kept a little tube full of god shavings. It was pretty worrying. But you've never scared me.
That's what he said it starts as. The wanting of something.
Maybe these past lives, their curiosity and desires got them involved in something that altered who they were. You know? maybe it wasn't your free will necessarily, but that same desire to explore, to learn, to collect got you into trouble.
Yeah.
Like what Carasilla also said, we don't know the whole truth. These could just be windows of the truth.
Maybe you need to be dipped in the dew somehow. I mean, not exactly the way I have been, but you go back far enough in my bloodline. The reason I'm like this is because people killed a giant just to drink its blood and get power. It's not a very good card to be dealt. But I guess over time, people with my kind of makeup figured out ways to keep themselves on the path. I know I have moments where there's a lot going on inside. I don't know how else to put it. And sometimes when there's a lot, I end up hurting whoever's nearby, even if I don't mean to. That's kind of how I ended up smacking my stepmom and getting in this whole mess. So maybe Emeril, it will know whatever it is you need to know to keep it on lock.
I hope so. But otherwise, I always have all of you keep me right.
Elowin wouldn't have brought you back so many times if it wasn't for a good reason.
Yeah. Have some faith in the lady. You're a paladin, aren't you?
Something like that. Thank you guys.
So, as all of you have this conversation on either horseback or, in Suni's case, lizardback on Maggie, eventually you arrive. At least you arrive at where you think you should be. You see the side of the road, maybe a few hundred feet back into the trees. You see a singular doorway. It is a solid stone arch, a bit of a rounded wooden frame that is inlaid with colors of gold. And you can see a door handle that seems to beckon all of you enter. I would say that those full casters in the group, Cecily, although you don't know the spell, you at least recognize that this is magic. Carasilla, however, being a collector of stories and great magical feats, you would recognize this spell as Magnificent Mansion. So this is a spell not unlike Carasilla's own spell that she has, where she can create her own private sanctum. This is just that spell on a much larger scale. You are very confident that no other mage in the world would just throw down their door at this spot where all of you were told to meet Emeril. So you believe that he is there.
Huh?
Okay.
Seems like we found him.
Okay.
Let Cecily do the honors of knocking. Her mentor.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. No, you're right. That should be me. Get off her horse. Yeah. Okay. Just gotta be professional. Look like I've had my shit together the past 3 months. Okay.
Also, Bianca brought Ajax's shield and spear,
Okay,
too.
checks out.
She's got it on her back or something.
Okay. So, Cecily, you approach the door.
She will. She'll give it a rap-a-tap-tap. Does it have a little lock thingo?
It does not have a knocker, but you can easily knock on the door.
Alright, cool.
As you knock, the door opens. However, it is not Emerald that stands there. You see a woman that you have not seen in a very, very, very long time, Cecily. You see Sigrun. As she opens the door, she looks down at you with this big smile on her face. The first time you think you've ever seen her smile, actually. As she says, look at how you've grown, little one. Please, come in. All of you, come in.
She speaks! And Cecily's just gonna run up to her and hug around her.
I do speak. Indeed, I do. And she'll hug back and welcome all the rest of you in. Sigrun seems to be in a much better mood.
Very fair.
Yeah. So, all of you enter one by one. And as the door shuts behind you, all of you... Oh, I'm on the wrong tab. All of you enter a place that... God, I don't know how to fucking spell my own fucking guy's name. Jesus. All of you see a place that I think all of you have been before.
We have, because we had to go and get the stuff from his little notes for us.
Yes. Oh, hey, look,
right?
there's his little token right there. That's funny.
I don't remember why we were here. Was it after we left the past?
I think so, yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, we
you're
all
here.
got our things. Yeah.
And you've been here before. This is Emerald's Sanctum. As you enter, you can see the absolutely massive collections of books and arcane trinkets lining the walls. You can see invisible servants move around with different trays of refreshments or food, and as you all enter, you can see Emerald stand. You see him, the short-cropped, golden hair, the goldish-brown skin, and the robes of white and gold that he wears. But in place of his arm, seems like everybody's losing arms, you can see that Emerald has an arm that from his bicep down seems to be comprised entirely of just raw arcane magic. As all of you enter, he says, "Hello. I am very glad all of you were able to make it, and, well, I'm very sorry that you had to leave the comfort of Maester. I wish there was an easier way to resolve my business with the College of Hearthcrest, but knowing the pace in which the bureaucracy there works, I would probably be stuck there for 3 to 6 months as they question every single thing I've ever done, and most things I don't have very much memory of. Which, Suni, I'm sure you understand my plight there." Good talk. All right. So,
Sorry.
So, as I understand it, all of you may have some questions or concerns, but I think first things first, I need to tell you what has happened in me and what I've discovered. So, I was trapped away in that astral plane for some time. For me, it was many, 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 many years. I lost count eventually, but I'm back. That's what's important. Thanks to the Forerunners, I've returned, and I made a promise to them, and I make it to all of you now, that I was too passive before. I need to be much more proactive, and
We do not have time for me to plan and think. Now is a time of action, and that is what I have already begun to do. In Odero, Thorol, Farah, and even Makovia and some of the other southern nations of Eridane, I've begun to work with the nobles there that will speak to me on organizing anything, honestly. And anywhere that I do find servants of the Dark One, Sigan and I have been dispatching of them, trying to learn where each one of the Forsaken currently reside and what positions of power they disguise themselves in. For some, it is easier than others. Nakure, he is currently leading many raiding parties around the Gemstone Archipelago, inflicting much, much, much pain to the people that, well, to the place he once called home. He's easy to pin down, but someone like it, or everyone, much harder. A shape changer that can convincingly become any individual they collect the face of, or even just see. It is much harder, but the search continues. Any of this information I'd be more than happy to share with all of you, but I understand your current mission might be a little more confined. As I understand from intel I've collected from Hrothgar, Draven Hunt seems to have escaped, and I'm assuming that is something all of you would wish to see to as soon as you're ready to travel.
Would be nice.
Very well. What I can do for all of you, in the southern islands of Otarashi, there are a few mages there that owe me a few favors. I can get you passage there. That way you don't need to travel by land and by boat, you can just arrive. Hopefully, get a little bit of a jump start on Draven and whatever he's been up to there. So, there is what I can offer you in getting you closer to your objective. In addition to that, I know I am not, but I cannot help but feel responsible for what happened to Ajax. It was my own hubris that landed me in that place. I'm sure there was another solution to Mezenkelnos and to Cassius in that moment, but I thought the only way to stop them was to lock all of us out of this reality. That was a mistake. It was a foolish idea that I made in the moment, and because I was not here, I was not able to help. And if I would have been here, perhaps it would have ended differently. I'm willing to use my magic to cast True Resurrection to try and bring your friend back. No cost to you. No need to worry about the material components. I will handle that. As an apology for my absence.
Quick judgments when you're under such pressure, I don't really think I don't think you should be beating yourself up so much over that, but can't deny, definitely appreciative of that.
Now, I must stress there are a few caveats to True Resurrection. It is an incredibly powerful spell that has an undeniable impact on the weave and of the balance of life and death. Bianca, you are a servant of the Raven Queen, a Valkyrie, as I take it. You and Sigrun have much in common. You must understand, more than anyone else here, that bringing a soul back in this way, your deity will not be very appreciative of the way in which you return him.
I know. And she'll look to Sigrun. I haven't been able to feel her presence after everything. Felt like she was breathing down my neck during the whole siege, but ever since I don't know. It's like it's gone cold.
You are at a crossroads, I think, and she knows it. Did you receive a vision or perhaps a premonition before the siege began?
Yes. We knew a life would be lost, and it was almost undeniably going to be at least one from our party, and we almost lost Suni as well before we could even get to Ivana. I was hoping that was the thread that the vision was referring to. I thought we had maybe made it out. Okay.
Well then, perhaps you have nothing to worry about. But whatever you do, you must proceed with caution. She cares a great deal for us, and she values our choices and respects them. But she is a deity of neutrality. If you act in this way, if you pursue this path, she will need to respond in a way that balances the scales. Exactly. It is a difficult choice to make, and I understand the pain each one of you must feel right now. Losing a companion in that way. There is no crueler fate than to watch your friend potentially be turned to an undead thrall. The other point I must make before we proceed with this, if this is what you choose to do. True resurrection is different than any other type of necromancy magic. It is necromancy. I just want to be clear. Revivify is short, quick. The soul has not yet left the body. You are just pulling it, anchoring it back in. It has very little impact on the continued life of that individual. With true resurrection, not only are we pulling the soul back to the body, but we are creating an entirely new vessel for that soul to go into. Drawing that much power to one position can invite unwelcomed visitors. Sigyn would do her best to ward them off, as all of you will be tied up in the ritual. I will do what I can as well, but there is a chance of interference from other individuals. And I suppose the final thing to note, if Ajax is brought back with true resurrection, that's it. There's not another chance for him. He will be brought back, and if he falls again, there is no amount of magic that can bring him back. If you were to somehow find a djinn and gain the ability to cast Wish, you threaten to unravel the weave as we know it. You're undoing something that should have been permanent. I'm not saying this to dissuade you. I just want you to be aware of the consequences, should you choose to follow through. If even hearing all of that, you still wish to proceed, then we will. I just wanted you all to be aware.
When you say that the Raven Queen is going to find some way to even the scales, what do you mean?
You can see Emerald looks to Sigurd.
She says, it could be something as simple as the extension of a life, of an individual who has a more negative impact on the world. Perhaps. An individual who is a politician that puts people down and steals and thieves their way in their position. They live just a little bit longer than they should have. But all of you are extremely powerful individuals. So was Ajax. So if that does happen, then the scales must be balanced. And some entity, something could be returned to this world to balance the scales. For what it's worth, any of the Forsaken that have been destroyed with Balefire, not even the Raven Queen can undo that. So you needn't worry about that or any other creatures that have been destroyed using the power of Balefire. But anything outside of those realms, I don't know.
We bring them back and we make it worth it.
Cecily, you asked me before everything, before we got back to Maester, to be not a politician and feel. I let the politician side of me handle my mother, but I'm not doing it again. I can't right now. I'm gonna let myself feel. I want Ajax back. Even if it's the wrong. It doesn't to me.
Well, I feel that it's the right choice anyway.
Think also, with all due respects to the Raven Queen, with the ending of Havana, that was ending a mark against her that's been going on for too long. We already know that she has long indulged in necromantic powers, not to mention the longevity of herself as well. Though I do not know her as well as other people in this room, hopefully she could consider the fact that we're balancing scales already, and be kinder too. Kind enough to allow Ajax to come back. Recognition of the service he helped with.
Very well. If Keothi, Sony, you agree as well? Keothi nods.
Suni also nods.
So be it. Allow me to prepare the materials. Now, because this is true resurrection, we will need to go to the point, or his homeland. This is the best way we can be sure that his physical form will be returned in the way that it was in life. Where is Ajax from?
He's from Thurol.
Very well. I will take us there, and we will conduct the ritual on the shores of Thorol. I'll be back momentarily. See Emerald head up the stairs, down a couple of doors, and head to collect some materials.
While he does that, I do think Bianca will go over to Sigrun, not necessarily for a private conversation, but just to not be talking across the room to each other. You've been a Valkyrie much longer than me. And I know you've faced death just as much, if not more. Does it get easier?
It will never get easier. As Valkyries, we carry a burden. It is not easy to uphold this oath. Of course, every Valkyrie has no problem bringing death to worthy enemies, to stand witness and to aid the heroic. But when it comes to honoring the fallen, of course I want to. But I'm going to be very honest with you, as someone who was once queen of those Valkyries, that led them time and time again into the most gruesome fights. The love and reverence and respect I have for our mother, the Raven Queen. In that dwarven demi-plane, in that middle ground, where Mezenkelnos was locked away, if Solvis perished in that moment, I would have done everything I could to bring him back, forsaken all of my vows, if it meant he could have one more day to make a difference. Sometimes there are people that make it worth it to go against the gods, to go against fate.
So I am breaking mine by doing.
Yes.
That's all I need to know.
Okay. She will nod. And with that, Emerald will return with the materials. A bag of holding slung around his side. And will say, so then, to Thorol. Please, all of you, grab hands. And he will reach out, and Sigrun will grab his hand, and then, sort of forming a circle around all of you, grab hands. All right. So with that, hands gripped, you can see Emerald, his eyes begin to glow this bright white, sort of the purple irises shifting, causing this radiant glow, muttering these arcane incantations. The world shifts. There is a flash as you begin to hear water. This lapping of waves on a coastline. You begin to hear this breeze begin to blow past your face. There is a scent of salt on the air. It is so tranquil. As eventually you open your eyes, you can see rolling green hills. You can see this emerald blue water. Slight hues of green mixed within. Small vistas and villas plucked all around the coast. As you arrive in Thrall, the homeland of Ajax, ready to commune with his spirit, and hopefully, through the means of true resurrection, bring him back. And on that note, that is actually where we're going to go ahead and end tonight's session, to be conscious of our Eastern Standard Time cuties out there that currently have a bit of an early bedtime, understandably. I know we did just get raided, so I'm so sorry for doing
we
this.
should stay for the raid.
But I just want to be conscious, you know. Rituals, they take a while. Plus,
I mean, Eastern Standard Time, people, how do you feel? Not to be that guy, not to push everyone.
But
I'm a
I'm
pusher.
dead.
Yeah, it's very rude. He's dead. He doesn't get a vote. So,
Well, then we only have one person, and that's Cameron.
So, to not put Cameron in an awkward position where he feels like he has to say yes,
He
even
does.
though he might want to.
He does want to say yes.
I don't want to put Cameron in that position.
He wants to be there.
Stop. So, very sorry for ending here. But the thing with the resurrection ritual, the ritual with true resurrection, is it's not just 3 people. All 4 of you will have to present some type of offering. And the thing is, none of you can make the same type of check, okay? So one of you can make a persuasion check to try and plead to the spirit. You know, like, for example, Carasilla could make a performance check, but then let's just say that she wouldn't, but Cecily wanted to juggle to try and bring Ajax's soul back.
What do you mean?
She could not
Please do
also
that.
not make a performance
I need to
check.
figure out how to
Come
have
back.
Bianca make a dexterity check because she's got a plus 12 to those.
Okay, maybe she could juggle, you know, it's a
That's
dex
so
check.
funny. Stealth
Do some
check.
cool stuff with the spear.
There you go. That's thing 1. Thing 2, that all of you should be aware is, whenever you make your check, it will be a blind GM roll to me to determine the DC, and then the final roll will be a public roll to all of you. Okay? So that's the spicy thing. Only I will know the DC, but everybody will know what the final roll is. Okay? So it's gonna be tense. And this is true resurrection. The DC is high. So for every failure you get in the ritual, the DC goes up. And for every success you get, the DC goes down. Okay? It's going to be tough, all right? And just so everybody here is aware, John and I talked about this. If Ajax does come back, that's fantastic. We're super happy about that. If he does not, none of you should feel bad, like you fucked up, even though you rolled poorly.
I probably will still cry.
Oh no, I'll be the one to roll poorly, so. Sorry, Ajax.
We've talked about it. It's okay. I guess those are the 2 big things. So those are things to keep in mind for next week. We will be playing next week, which we are very excited for.
You know, I know it's not our fault or anything, but like, what if, with my -1 strength, I tried to roll an athletics check? How would we all feel about that? That feels like my fault, right?
And it would be your fault, yeah.
Yeah.
That does sound like self-sabotage to me.
Cecily's like, get up, buddy, come on.
Okay. So, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday for the resurrection ritual of Ajax Polemos.
Woo.
Maybe he'll be back. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Very excited for that. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, actually, also, not for the Tales of Everin, but for an Isles session, kind of. The one-on-one shot between me and Yorick for his escapades in the city of Dis in the Nine Hells. See what he's been up to. I'm sure fun thing.
What's up with this?
Who dis?
So, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. We will see you next time.